In today's lesson, we're going to be looking at the Pythagorean Theorem. In your foldable, go ahead and look right in this area in the cover, and we're going to start labeling this. In your right triangle, go ahead and label one leg, leg A, the other leg, leg B, and then the long side, call it hypotenuse C. To note leg A and leg B, those are interchangeable. You could put them in either place if you want. Hypotenuse C, the hypotenuse is always opposite that right angle. The Pythagorean theorem tells us that in any right triangle, when you square leg A and you square leg B, you get the square of the hypotenuse C. So down here you can see the square on leg A, the square on leg B, and the square on the hypotenuse C. It's really common for this to be shorthanded. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Definitely write this down, box it up. This mathematical formula is going to be crucial for solving problems using the Pythagorean theorem. All right, on this page, I'd like you to write a little vocabulary. So the right angle that's always 90 degrees comes right at the corner of a right triangle. There are always two legs, and they're the sides of a right triangle that touch the right angle. And then the hypotenuse is the longest side of a right triangle. It's always opposite the right angle. So this one over here in this time. When we look at square roots today, it's important to know that when you know the area of a square, the side length is always its square root. So for instance, if the square has an area of 25 square units, the side length is the square root of 25, or 5 units. All right, please turn to the other side, and we're going to solve some problems. So we're going to do example 1 first, and we're just going to solve to see if it's a right triangle. All right, if something is a right triangle, it is going to follow the Pythagorean theorem. So in this particular example, we want to see if a squared plus b squared really equals c squared. So we are going to use our dimensions here, which we have 5, 12, and 13, and here's my right angle. So I want to check, does 5 squared plus 12 squared actually equal 13 squared? Okay, you're going to be allowed to use a calculator here, and I want you to actually solve this out and check. So 5 squared is 25, 12 squared is 144, 13 squared is 169. When I add 25 and 144, I get 169. So it's true that 169 equals 169. This is a right triangle because both sides are equal. A squared plus b squared does equal c squared. All right, I want you to pause this video and try example 2. And after you try example 2, come back and see if you got it right. Hopefully you saw something like this. 6 squared plus 9 squared did not equal 10 squared. 117 and 100 are not equivalent. So no, this is not a right triangle. Okay, go up to example 3. And this time we're missing a dimension and we're missing the hypotenuse. So we're going to solve for the length of the hypotenuse. So I want to use the Pythagorean theorem, and I want to say 8 squared plus 15 squared equals c squared. And I'm going to figure out all the information that I know. So 8 squared is 64, 15 squared is 225, and I don't yet know c squared, but I can add 64 and 225 and get 289. It's important to note that 289 is c squared. 289 is not the length of the hypotenuse. To find the length of the hypotenuse, we're going to take the square root of 289, and we arrive at 17. So the value of c, or the hypotenuse length, is 17 units. Okay, similar, I would like you to do example 4 on your own, and then you can come back and check if you got it right. All right, check your work against my work below. You should have gotten c, or the hypotenuse, is 50 units. Okay, the last type of problem you'll see is when a leg length is missing, and we're still going to use the Pythagorean theorem to solve it, but it's going to look a little different. So we could call 9 either A or B, and the question mark the other one, I'll just call this B for now. So we'll still set up the Pythagorean theorem. We want to know what is b if 9 squared plus b squared equals 15 squared. I'm going to solve my equation just like normal. I'm going to figure out what 9 squared is, which is 81. I don't know b squared, so I'm going to leave that there. And 15 squared is 225. Okay, what's important to know this time is to get b squared, we're not going to add 225 and 81. To get b squared alone this time, I'm going to end up subtracting 81 from both sides, and I get b squared equals 144. So when I take the square root of 144, I get 12, so my b value is equal to 12, or 12 units. And important to notice, this is not the longest of the dimensions. The hypotenuse should be the longest. All right, I'm going to have you try example 6 on your own and see how you do. All right, when you solved this, here's the work, and you should have gotten an answer of 7 units. All right, remember, today you learned the Pythagorean theorem that just tells us that in any right triangle, a squared plus b squared equals c squared.